think we first met Gary in 2001, so over 20 years ago. We had recently relocated back to the area and we needed a new financial advisor. We didn't have anyone that we could ask for a recommendation, so I just happened to pop into what was his office then in Park Farm, spoke to Elaine, who was on front of desk, and arranged for Gary to come to the house where he met Robert and the children, who were little tots at that stage. And I think we had a number of meetings before Gary actually made any recommendations for our investments.
In fact, Gary was very thorough in wanting to understand what our life was about, what our young family was about, our aspirations, what was going on. And so it did take a lot of trouble to actually think about that before we'd make any recommendations for anything, didn't he?
I think he considered our sort of aspirations and what we wanted. And funnily enough, we had very little spare cash at that time because we just relocated, so we had an increased mortgage, we had a lot of building work going on. So it was particularly important to us that the little bit of spare cash we had was going to be wisely invested.
Our journey over the years has been, interesting, a good experience. So obviously, as Nikki just said, when we started out, it was a little bit of sort of monthly putting things away. And over that whole period, it's got a lot more in depth, a lot more complicated, had to take account of changes in our lives, kids growing up, going to university, one or two big expenditures of ours, and take account of changing sort of circumstances in where we worked, what we earned, and fiscal, government fiscal policies as well. So we realised that, more and more we needed that depth of expertise. The regular chats, consultations happened even more frequently, taking us through that. And there's a lot of specifics I can come up with, but do you want to add anything for a minute?
No, carry on.
So in the specifics, we got into talking about lasting power of attorney. We changed our wills twice over the period as the law changed to keep them ultra modern and up to date. We were looking at trusts, we're looking at inheritance planning for our children, what would happen in the future, complete rethink on pensions and how we could optimise what we're putting into pensions within our means. And then we were dealing with kids in universities, so looking at cash flows actually quite early on to understand and give us confidence about what we could spend, what we couldn't spend, where that might come from in the future. So there was a lot going on, and then in recent times it got a bit more complex as we got a bit older and we started thinking about what's going to happen when we might retire, and how do you plan for that, how do you look at cash flows for that. So that's all gone on, and happily we just have recently retired at the end of Christmas. But then we had some elderly parents issues to deal with, which want to move on to that?
Well, I think my mum was one of the first people that we introduced to Gary. So she was very independent and had managed her own finances since my father had passed away, but got to a stage where she wanted some advice. So she arranged a meeting with Gary, and I think it was important for her that she was comfortable with her financial advisor and felt comfortable discussing her finances with him. So again, there were a number of meetings, and he's looked after her very well, as he has your mum and our children and many of our friends now. So.
And I had a slightly different experience because my father passed away about 10-11 years ago. So then I suddenly had to pick up those finances, which I'd never seen before. And Gary and the team were a great help, sort of taking that apart to understand how we would deal with it in the future, and actually giving us the confidence to how much mum's sort of assets could be brought to best use for her as she got older. So that was really good, gave us lots of confidence to help my mum fully. But then, unfortunately, a year ago, she did pass away. So then we needed the team's advice all over again in how do we deal with that. And part of that 10 years had been the planning, actually, that if there was any estate left at the end of mum's life, how would that be best used and protected and passed on to the family and my sisters. So again, huge amounts of advice coming through and help and support. And I guess the culmination is us having the confidence to actually, stop work at the end of December last year. So that's fantastic, really, isn't it? And we're now trying to work out what to do with our newfound time. And Gary's still telling us, you've got enough, keep going and enjoy it.
Yeah, I think it's going well. We're sort of slowly settling into it. We're looking forward to lots of new adventures, whilst having the confidence that we know that the future is going to be secure for us financially. So that's a big thing. So yeah,
we've got a lot planned, haven't we? We've got a lot planned.
Yeah.
Gaps, lots of holidays and adventures, and we're busier than ever we've been. I don't know how work used to happen. Still doing a little bit of work just to keep my brain going, and Nikki might be, but that's a sort of side issue. So yeah, it's looking good, and really thanks to Gary and the expertise of the team and their ongoing attention, really. And I can see we've still got ongoing discussions going to be required for quite a while now.
Yeah.
But he's finally convinced me that we can do it. So we did it.
I think AMG and dealing with Gary have given us the reassurance that we have done the best that we can with our money, and it's working efficiently for the children. I think it's given us peace of mind that should anything happen to either one of us, then the remaining partner and the children will be well supported by Gary and the office at what might be quite a traumatic time, so that will remove some of the stress for it. So that's good to know that someone will be helping them through that process at that time.
And in fact, there's all plans in place for that. It's not going to be a sort of a sudden jumping about. It's all sort of relatively organised.
Yeah.
But I also think that the sort of 360 look at what we do and thinking about that now and going forwards, and if you try that on your own, you just haven't got that expertise to do it. And nowadays there's lots of pitfalls which can cost you a lot of money just for stupid things that you don't know, and that things are changing quite fast at the minute. Governments change, policies change, tax laws change. You're just totally reliant. Even sorting the right type of will, getting things put into place that you might not think about, and actually having you're like the whole team's there to help you and give you that advice, which probably is well beyond what you might imagine is beyond the the remit of a wealth advisor.
Yeah, you feel if you phone up, you feel whoever answers the phone knows you. So it feels very much a sort of family orientated.
I think in terms of actually along the journey, obviously it was natural for us to bring each of our mothers into the to speak to Gary and to take advice. But along the way, with some of our other friends and actually acquaintances in some cases, when you're just discussing things and you suddenly it comes out they have a problem or a complex issue, or they're dissatisfied with something they're having, and you can say, well, actually we can give you this telephone number to ring if you want to talk and get some advice. You don't have to take it, and nothing will happen quickly, I can assure you, because if you're talking to Gary, he goes the extra mile to understand your circumstances. Well,
Gary's a big character. The meetings are fun. However,
the whiteboard.
However, yeah, he likes the whiteboard, which is great actually for me. I often ask him to explain things and, tell me his rationale behind his thinking. And I've got a terrible memory, so Gary's very used to having to explain things one meeting after the other, because he'll explain it at one meeting and I'll say, yeah, I understand, I'm on board with that. And then the next meeting, I'm asking him to re-explain it because I can't remember. So he's very patient, he's very family orientated, very person-centred. And yeah, he's just a pleasure.
It can simplify explanations. The whiteboard's pretty key to that. Yeah. But there is complex stuff behind it, but you understand it. And I think you feel all the time everyone's working for you. It's your interest at heart. It's not how to make money for AMG or St James's Place. It's all for you. So everything is about you. And that comes across very strongly.
Yeah, very much so.
And that's what we like.
Yeah, we definitely feel that he's doing the best for us.